আসসালামু আলাইকুম এভরিওয়ান। আমি জানি আপনারা বিশ্বাস করবেন না। মুভির শুটিংটা কীভাবে হয় আপনারা দেখবেন, দেখে অবশ্যই কমেন্টটা করবেন। বন্ধুরা, চাইলে আপনারা মুভিটা দেখতে পারবেন। ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে বর্তমানে অনলাইনে অ্যাভেলেবেল। আমি কালকে রাত দেখছি, মুভিটা অনেক সুন্দর। তবে হিন্দি ডাবিং বর্তমানে আসে নাই। আপনারা যদি দেখতে চান অবশ্যই ইনবক্সে নক করবেন। আমি লিঙ্ক আপনাদেরকে দিয়ে দেব।
Does everyone remember the living room scene from the first Venom? I think yes, because it stands out as one of the most intense fights. Perhaps this scene has gotten so much attention because of the power imbalance, namely 1 against 3. Not very fair, is it? But because of the fact that he's pretty strong on his own, thanks to Venom's strength, things turned out to be pretty fair. The CGI in this scene really emphasizes the amazing and powerful transformation that Tom Hardy goes through. There was a lot of stage combat and practical effects in this scene that helped show the battle so well. So here as the time of fights in the apartment begins mess. Furniture and things flying in all directions. All this was filmed right on the set. The creative team had to work hard trying to collect all the scattered things. The strings were used to create the effects we see in the movie. Hardy's stunt double, Jacob Tamuri, he was strapped down and actually crashed into furniture. Pretty wild, right?
Whilst being physical and quite violent.
In addition, the fight included a brutal kettlebell toss. Luckily, the actors were unharmed because there were no real weights on set. As you all have already realized, this is the work of our CGI, because CGI is not only massive explosions and crazy creatures. Of course, sometimes there are occasions when you need to create images for more mundane or practical effects.
Lights get thrown out of the window, all of Eddie's possessions, clothes, all manner of things. So these were all on wires, which literally flew out of the window, combined with the visual effects of tendrils then grabbing those things and pulling them through.
Tom Hardy really put in the effort, whether the cameras were on, or they were just going through the motions of a scene. When it came time for him to do that big apartment fight as Eddie Brock against Venom, Hardy really let out those injury sounds pretty intensely. It was like he was really getting hit, making sounds that seemed so real, even though he clearly wasn't facing off against Venom in real life. It was like he had just come out of a real brawl. Everyone knows that the voice of Venom has always been in Tom Hardy's head, and it turns out it was in the truest sense of the word. So before filming, the actor single-handedly worked through scenes with Venom, and eventually Hardy recorded every line. He put in headphones and listened to all of Venom's lines as they came in, allowing him to respond right on the spot. Hardy really took the opportunity to improvise, chat with Venom, and add a special touch to the scene. Through this clever technique, he was able to bring both characters to life and make them different from each other. Sometimes the sound guys would record his lines in the morning and then play them back during filming so that he would perform them with them. Andy Serkis has extensive experience with CGI characters, and being an actor himself, he just couldn't help but step in to occasionally direct Tom Hardy in his roles. For Serkis, immersing himself in the character's way of thinking was crucial, especially since Venom's lines are constantly changing. The acting and directing duo had a chance to pitch ideas to each other and come up with some fresh lines together. Before editing, the team had to record all the possible choices to make sure they had enough material to work with.
Oh, to act with it as well, yeah. Oh, right. I say, sorry. Let's make a move.
The rave scene in the last Venom is awesome. All those lights, puppets, and non-stop action. It's a real treat to watch. It was a lot of fun to shoot this. The scene was created quite flexibly, which gave director Andy Serkis the opportunity to dive headfirst into filming and work closely with the cast and creative team. There were 650 extras on set and energy was at an all-time high, which contributed greatly to the story. The sets were absolutely stunning with huge puppets and a ton of bright lights everywhere. It was very easy for the actors to visualize themselves and act out the big party scene. When it comes to throwing people into a scene, you always get a ton of wires and harnesses. In the first movie, we see an outside force tossing him around, but off-screen it's more like magic. Hardy was actually hooked up to wires and harnesses, which made it safe to shoot these tricky stunts. Everything looks amazing in rehearsals, so it's no surprise that the final product turned out great from human to supervillain that we see on screen, and it all happened thanks to some impressive CGI work. The VFX team really went all out and created animation for every frame we see. It definitely took a lot of time and skill, but it was the best way to make sure the transformation looked so slick and realistic. The detail animation makes Venom's interactions with people and the world seem so real and believable. One of the coolest scenes in the first Venom shows this massive mess of black tendrils taking to the streets, moving from flat on the ground to a powerful stance. Even though his movements seem perfect in the final version, the reality behind the scenes was quite another thing. The actors were really focused on nailing the choreography to help the CGI team get the movements just right. They needed the best footage to really showcase Venom on screen in a big and impactful way. In the end, they really weren't let down at all.
But these are very, very difficult characters to anthropomorphize, to actually make human, because of the size of the jaws up here, and also there's very little that you can get out of the eyebrows or eye movements. What we managed to do is to put in very subtle sort of shifts in imaginary eyebrows, if you like, and we've increased hugely the amount of lip molding around the teeth when Venom's speaking.
Editing and post-production. But if we look behind the scenes, we see that it took a ton of preparation and safety measures to make this superhuman moment happen. It's very impressive to see how intensely the stunt is performed without any CGI leaps into the air. In both situations, CGI played a very important role in helping to set the stage and make it seem like the performers were actually flying, especially with all the cool details of Venom. Passion, humor, and special effects made Venom another great anti-hero film. The creative team's innovation in bringing these elements to life is impressive.